Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Anambra Show Monday episode. It's the 18th day of July 2022 and we are delighted to be alive today in the land of the living. How was your weekend? I hope fine. All right, we are here to do justice to some of the issues bugging our nation. My name is Nonye Nwokoye, welcoming you to the show today. And let's begin with the press review. All right, you're welcome to the press review. On press review, we take a look at some of our national dailies and, of course, stories making the headlines on ABS website. In the studio this morning, I have two gentlemen. Choka Uzezi is a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the studio, Choka.
Good morning, and viewers. Welcome to the press review.
All right, I also have Abochi Onwomelo. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you. Good morning, Anambra.
All right, we begin with looking at stories making the headlines on ABS website. Seven suspects nabbed by NSCDC for vandalizing electrical installations in Anambra. Anambra State government calls for conservation of forests to tackle erosion and promote eco-tourism. Seven suspects, okay, that's the first story. And let's look at that story because it was in the news this morning. And their names were actually mentioned and where they came from. I don't know whether you've seen that story before now, Abuchi.
Yes, a good thing that we are beginning to put our hands together in terms of guarding government property. Kudos to the men and officers of Civil Defense Corps. It shows that really they are alive to their responsibility. And for those involved in this criminal act, they should desist forthwith because definitely the long arm of the law will surely caught up with them. There's no gainsaying the fact that Anambra is beginning to come alive again in terms of issue of security. The governor of the state has actually put up a lot of measures to address this issue of insecurity headlong. So whoever that is ready to go into criminality should be ready to go in for it. That's what I have to say. People should find something doing. If you don't have, everybody mustn't be a civil servant. Go and learn a skill. The government of Anambra State, through the Ministry of Youth Development, they've opened up a lot of skill acquisitions. So many things to be learned. You go there and fix yourself somewhere and become a better citizen.
You know, that story, when I was reading it on news this morning, I learned the community equally helped to catch up with the criminals.
Yeah, kudos to that. That is what we call the PPP, public-private partnership. Everything must not be done by the government or the security agents. In fact, that is why some people were advocating for state police. The reason is not far-fetched. It's just that within the locality, you know ourselves. We know those who are going into crimes and those who are really who are criminals. We know them. So if the community should come up and say enough is enough, and that's where you can get results like this. So I'm not surprised that the communities are really taking up this security issue as their own issue. It shouldn't be left in the hands of security agents who are not even from Anambra. They have nothing to lose if at the end of the day government property is vandalized. They have nothing to lose. So it is we, the people of Anambra State, the residents, who will bear the brunt. So it's a cause for collective responsibility. It shouldn't be left in the hands of security agents alone. So I thank the communities and the vigilantes and whoever that facilitated the apprehension of these criminals.
All right, let's move on now to the first paper. And be reminded that this program is audience participatory. That's the line on your screen. You can call and make your own input on any issue of importance raised here. All right, let's see the Daily Sun newspaper now. Let's see stories making the headlines on the Daily Sun newspaper. The big one, 2023, my successor will come from Ebonyi North. That's Umahi talking. Now, Oshun PDP Atiku brag over Adeleke's victory, which read as there, outcome of Guba poll indication of what awaits APC, says opposition party. Will win presidential election, boasts ruling party. Buhari autumn, others congratulate governor-elect. Petrol stations dump 165 naira per liter pump price, with rather Nigerian banks and FX requests on foreign currency transactions. And the LEA arrests drug queen with narcotics in fetish bowls at Lagos Airport. APC plans legal action against defecting lawmakers, may undertake major purge, suspension of erring members. ASUU strike, NLC plans nationwide solidarity protest, government not negotiating in good faith to resolve crisis. UBA expands to EMEA, launches operations in Dubai. And up there we have IPOB wants Bokachua arrested over hate speech against Igbo, which right there accuses lawmaker of trying to incite genocide in Southeast. We can see pictures in front of the paper. There's a supporters jubilating in Oshobo, Osun State, following the victory of the People's Democratic Party PDP candidate Demola Adeleke Wright in Saturday's governorship election yesterday. Now, you can't win war against terrorists by rhetoric. Afenifere tells Buhari. Ex-Lagos APC women leader Kemi Nelson dies. A very pathetic one there. All right, let's move with the big story in front of that paper. The story was all over. Even before the announcement of INEC came, the whole social media were agog with this news of the winning of Adeleke in Osun State governorship election. Uzo?
Yeah, exactly. This time around, the wishes of the people held sway. Not just the popular candidate being ahead of other contestants, but INEC and the institutions respecting the people's will. So I don't think it's the issue of any party bragging over it. I think the populace now, the whole country has a more informed electorate, and people are now taking decisions based on who they believe is a better candidate and will offer them better leadership and service. Not at all. And I think this is exactly what we repeat during the general elections in 2023. Not necessarily a particular party holding sway over the general polls, but you see that people from the right persons in different parties getting the vote of the masses. And I think Nigeria is going to experience a new type of leadership come 2023. No particular party is supposed to brag. I think this will inform the next round of elections. That parties will make sure that their primaries are as democratic as possible, so that the popular candidates, more credible candidates, should be given, an opportunity of flying the flag of their parties. And I guess this will inform the trend of politics and the campaign. It should be issue-based now, not attacking individuals or attacking parties based on sentiments and, what doesn't matter.
All right, let's move on. Now, the issue of ASUU is, we are in the 6th month, right? And the NLC, they are planning nationwide protest. I think they said it's next week. Abuchi, and government, they write down that the story says government not negotiating in good faith to resolve crisis.
This is something we've been hearing from every now and then, and at the end of the day, the national leadership of NLC might at the end of the day disappoint Nigerians because they might call off the strike halfway, assuming they will go in and maintain their word by going outright for no negotiation. This time we want this and focus on what they want. But before you know it, they will tell you that they are in negotiating table with the government. Yes, without even consulting the Nigerians. Now they are telling us that they want to embark on strike. By the time they will go halfway and resolve it, after money must have exchanged hand. So it's just like they are using...
They are not saying they are going on strike. They say it's a nationwide protest.
That is the
drive home a point.
But this is what I'm saying. Call it strike, call it protest. It's just because it's the antics they are using. I think this is what they are using to enrich themselves. Many in the past they've done something like that and no result. So you see, then we are going to a massive protest, nationwide. This at the end of the day, after the threat, once they pay them well, they will go back. And
all right, let's see who is here. Hello, good morning. All right, please, in case you want to be a part of this conversation, when you call us, you move away from your television set or you bring the volume down very well so we can communicate effectively here. All right, let's move on to the next paper now for review, the National Star. Before then, let's welcome a guest, a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, your name?
Hello, good morning.
Your name and your location, please.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
You're welcome. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Chief George is my voice. Dr. Peace from Aguilera.
You're welcome, George. Go ahead.
Chief George is my voice. Dr. Peace from Aguilera.
All right, go ahead.
I said Chief George is my voice. Joseph, okay, now, what are the NLC protesting on? Or protesting against? After how many months? Is it not too long now for the ASUU strike, for the NLC to protest now? Let them allow the politicians to be using the civil servants and play.
All right, thank you very much. You've made your point, George.
Yes,
all right.
I think the caller has a serious point because I really want to share the sentiment when he said, let the politician be using the civil servant. Sometimes if you find out that what we are facing today was actually enthroned by some of those people agitating for the ASUU leadership, I want to tell you, during the electioneering period, some of these people are recruited to deliver somebody who is not supposed to lead the country. Today, all of us are suffering it. You go and collect money, build the houses as a professor, as somebody who went for election, taking the money, leaving out, not thinking about the future. So now, the government enthroned, check all the returning officers in the last general election. They were all from the classrooms. So everybody is suffering it. So that is why, if you look at it critically, you find out that what is happening to us, they were part and parcel of what started their problem.
I'll take the exception to that. Because that is my constituency. Okay. Basically, there's no way we have an organic corruption. We have an endemic corruption in the system. So I'm not saying it's ASUU alone or it's not ASUU. Remember, when you're talking about ASUU, you're talking about all the academic staff of universities. And how many of them are really involved as returning officers? If you're talking about the professorial cadre, okay, or some of the associate professors, okay. Most people start cutting across academic and non-academic. We are part of it. People were recruited from the civil service. But what played out is what is happening in Nigeria. So it is not necessarily what happened in North. The rigging of the election started from underage voting, non-issuance of voters' card, PVCs, and so on and so forth. So the rigging of the election didn't actually start that very day. It started long ago. So you can't blame a symptom for the ailment.
All right, if we continue like that, we won't go here, but let's just move on. A National Star newspaper is next in our lineup. Let's see stories on the National Star. ASUU strike, NLC to embark on nationwide protest on July 26 and 27. YC Mike Yeo emerges NBA president. We can see the picture in front of the National Star. These are supporters of Adeleke. They are rejoicing and congratulating Adeleke on election, on the victory. Now, Buhari PDP governor's orders congratulate Adeleke on election victory. And we can see also on that paper, Peter Obi, Baba Ahmed meet Obasanjo. Overjoyed PDP supporters shoot self in Oshun. Arrest Bulkachua, try him over hate speech against Igbo. That's coming from IPOB. Gunmen abduct pregnant woman, 11 others in Kaduna and Anambra State. All right, quickly, I don't know which one are you looking at, Uzo?
We look at the issue of hate speech from Bulkachua. We are really at a crossroad at this point in time, and it will not be good for any public figure or any person at all to incite any group of people against the other, because already, I thank God for one thing. The populace is getting more and more educated, either by formal means or by the social media or other means. So people are now able on their own, even the non-educated, formally educated, they have experienced the outcome of having the wrong person. And knowing that the problem of Nigeria is not caused by any particular tribe, because if you still go up there, you'll find out that when they decide to loot our common patrimony or resources, they don't loot it according to people or tribe or religion. It is about interest. So people inciting people against them. Now, if you are saying, okay, when they say IPOB is a terrorist group, all the Igbos are IPOB people, all the Igbos are terrorists, because at some time you see such sentiment coming from public figures. And now you look at it, how can somebody of that stature be making such, statements? It's uncalled for. And I think it's high time public institutions hold such persons responsible for such statement, because somebody somewhere might be emboldened by such statement and take some nefarious steps that will not augur well for anybody in the country.
All right, quickly, the Punch newspaper is next in our lineup. Let's see stories making the headlines on the Punch newspaper. Face-off with Arebashola cost Oyetola re-election. That's minister's faction with riders there. We're assessing outcome of poll. Oyetola to talk after consultation. Aide speaking. Buhari Atiku Seraki, Governors Hill Adeleke, Governor-elect promises to perform. And we have Oshunpo indicates Ige's voice resounds from the grave, says Shoyinka. Marketers finally hike petrol price to 170 to 190 naira per liter. Other stories on the Punch says Tinubu Shetima APC picked best winning combination, says Adamu. As to NLT plans national protest, police demand notification. Senate orders Nimasa DG's arrest over $9 billion loss. Importers shun eastern ports over insecurity, others. That's coming from shippers. UBA boasts foreign expansion, begins operation in Dubai. Buhari Sanwo-Olu, APC mourn Kemi Nelson. Lagos Ibadan, Julius Berger repays long bridge after Punch report. Lagos businessman accuses police of extortion, petitions IG. Name Northerner campaign DG. Bashir panel tells Tinubu. Mike Yeo beats Gadzama, tidy to emerge NBA president. Monkeypox cases hit 101, highest in 5 years. And the pictures on the front of the Punch is still on the celebration board. I can see children hanging on cars there, which I don't think it's very, very much proper for a young one. Some of them are not even up to 10 hanging on that car in celebration of the governor. But that goes to show how joyful they are, isn't it? How joyful they are celebrating their own on the winning of governorship election in Osun State over the weekend. All right, move on. Abuchi.
Yes, we congratulate Mr. Neto Adeleke, you know. So because before now, what the message to be taken home is that whatever you are doing, remember there will be an end, and you coming back will determine how far you fared while you were there. So Oyetola, I remember the last election that brought in that Oyetola. This guy gave him really fight, and it was really a two-horse race. So, and Adeleke now really lost out. So I expected Oyetola to capitalize on that by doing something, by being on the side of the masses. But he believed, some of them believe so much in the power broadcast, talking about the godfatherism, which has its way in Southwest. So if you look at what happened to Ekiti State, people are beginning to disassociate themselves from this idea of godfatherism. They are no longer comfortable with that. So people are going for the right candidate. In Ekiti State, the candidates who were actually for the masses narrowly lost that same election. I followed it. I noticed that if not because of the money they shared, because it became a vote buying process, who will pay more, and people went in and they lost that election. But that of Osun is really telling the Nigerians, the Nigerian politicians, that they should do well in office, so that when coming back to seek the people's mandate, they will gladly give it to you. So it's a lesson to Oyetola and every others.
All right, the Nigerian Tribune is next now. Let's see stories on the Nigerian Tribune. Winners, losers as Adeleke's victory returns Osun to PDP. Factors that made PDP win 12 years after. That's on page 4 and 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. It's time for APC to go. PDP, Adeleke's victory is people's will. That's coming from our President Buhari. We are studying election results. Oyetola speaking. And Knox Trail reps move to take over all surface on the groundwater tributaries, interstate rivers. World Bank deploys $114.9 billion to finance global crisis in 2022. We have Buhari's directive to army to wipe out terrorists not backed by action. That's Feni Ferrer speaking. ASUU strike, NLC to embark on nationwide solidarity protest. Zenith Bank holds 7th annual trade seminar on non-oil export. UBA Group launches banking operation in DIFC Dubai. Maikuya emerges 31st NBA president. All right.
Just a quick one. If you look at the winners and the losers, you find out that below you see that these are a bunch of people who have held the Osun State to a stranglehold. So now the same thing happened in Ekiti, like I mentioned earlier. If not because of the ego tussle between the former governors, talking about Shegun Oni and Ayo Fayose, PDP would have won that election. I'm not talking about party here because they have a better candidate by my own assessment. So now, those people in Osun State, people are coming back to say, no, this crop of politicians who are actually dictating for us, we want to take them off. So people are really enjoying. Adeleke's victory is the wishes of the masses. In fact, it's just, I'm not surprised people are celebrating it the way they
are. Lots of lessons to learn from the Osun governorship election that was held last weekend. But details of that program will come up on ABS tomorrow, God willing. All right, let's move on now to the next paper, the Guardian newspaper. Let's see stories making the headlines on the Guardian newspaper. More worries over rising inflation. Headwinds as MPC meets today. MPC contemplates lesser evil, appraises intervention framework amid downturn. We have Monetary Committee has no relevance to ordinary Nigerians, says Olushoga. NBS inflation report contradicts Buhari's claim on economy. Zenith Bank holds 7th non-oil export seminar. UBA launches operations in Dubai. Abuja journalist sues newspaper for allegedly defaming Buratai, seeks compliance with FOIA. Terrorists kidnap pregnant woman, 7 others in Kaduna. Afenifere knocks Buhari over lame directives on terrorism. And Adeleke in tears of joy dedicates victory to suffering Osun masses. All right, let's look at that banner headline there. There are more worries over rising inflation headwinds as MPC meet today. Everybody is feeling the heat in Nigeria today, from what we eat to what we use as a people. So, Uzo.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN, definitely they've gotten absolute feedback from the, environment, the system, and they know that if the banking sector is showing us such indices, then definitely the economy is in deep trouble. Now, you'll find out that upon the whole policy and directive of government that people should consume local, people should produce local, people should patronize local, how have producers, manufacturers, investors in the economy fared in accessing available funds, or if they are available at all? So you find out these are part of what affects the level of productivity in the nation, and as well the capital or foreign reserve flight. Invariably, the high cost of living we are experiencing is because Nigeria is yet to be a productive country. And at the back of this is the insecurity. Okay, look at it now. We are still in the farming, towards the end of farming period.
I was coming to that because when you said produce locally, I said, how are we going to produce
That's what I'm
locally?
saying. At the back of it is insecurity. If you go around the country, you find that a lot of farmers have been taken off their farms. They are afraid. Last year we had farmers were asked, people were killed in their farms, and the military asked them, they didn't take permission from them before going to their farm. And now this time around, the farmers in Niger State have to pay bandits before they were given the permission to go to their farms. What is our government doing? So even if the Monetary Policy Committee meets, what's it called, manufacturers and industrialists are having the same problem. They can't get their raw materials.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, good morning. My name is David.
All right. You're welcome there.
Yeah, good morning, Chuka.
Good
I want to talk on the inflation and also after strike.
Okay.
It is unfortunate that you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. Nigeria, I don't know what is wrong in Nigeria. Look at that now. When you have a president that does not have YF, and you expect him to listen to policies on education and open education policy. Now we are talking about inflation. MSLA has been governor of Central Bank for the past 5-6 years. And Nigeria is becoming worse every day economically. All the policies of the central bank are not favoring anybody, are not favoring investors, locally manufactured industry is not favoring them. And the demand is still there. So I don't know what is wrong. It's only God that will help us in this country. It's only God. Let us continue praying and get our PDP right and do the right thing next year, because all this lamentation, talk, and nobody is listening to us. This is my contribution. God bless you all, and do have a beautiful day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your input. Now let's move on to the Daily Independent newspaper. Let's see stories on the Daily Independent newspaper. Now, fear grips APC, Tinubu's camp ahead 2023 election. Which riders the APC will respond appropriately, says Governor Oyetola. CDD asked INEC to replicate Osun Ekiti successes in 2023. With Osun done, our next destination is Aso Villa, says ASUU. Osun's victory is PDP gateway to 2023. Atiku Mark Saraki, PDP governors talking. Buhari hails Adeleke Lot's admin's commitment to credible elections. And declining oil revenue may worsen Nigeria's fiscal deficit woes. ASUU strike NLC to hold two-day nationwide protest. Buhari not serious about charged to army to decimate terrorists. Afenifere speaking. Serap urges INEC to end impunity on vote buying. NDLEA arrests drug queen over narcotics in fetish bowls at Lagos Airport. Okay, UBA Group expands to Emir launches banking operations in DIFC, Dubai. Well, let's look at this issue because we've seen it in the other papers, and we also saw the case of kidnapping that was done over the weekend in Kaduna State. Now, Buhari not serious about charge to army to decimate terrorists. How about you?
Yeah, it's quite clear that we lack the presidency lacks the political will, or rather the willpower to address the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. We keep hearing news of kidnapping, killings, maiming of people here and there, and yet nothing has been done. And what I mean by that, we can only hear that Buhari expressing shock, even while somebody died, right? Just what you hear from him, that I'm shocked. Every time I'm shocked. So, and then at the end of the day, why not go in, have a meeting with some of the security experts and find a way to either to change those people who are not giving you result. It's about result. So why still keep them where they are not getting you that result? So what I'm saying is that our security architecture really needs total overhauling, because he might say it's not happening to me, I'm not affected. One way or the other you will be affected, because economically, this is economic sabotage. The more we engage, we are faced with this insecurity, the more things are getting worse by the day. So we just pray that the president should do something, and not just that telling us that he will do something. We want to see him take a decisive decision in addressing the insecurity in the country.
The impact felt by the citizens, actually. All right, let's now take the Daily Trust and this day paper together. The Daily Trust first. For want of time, we're going to take the two papers together as we wrap up the show. Now, on how infighting caused APC's defeat in Osun, voters ignore Christian ticket factor. Adeleke's victory inspires PDP. APC ponders defeat. People have spoken, Buhari, Atiku, others. Now, mixed reactions over possible interest rate hike as CBN's monetary committee meets. Media trust structures, you can see the pictures in front of the Daily Trust. And we can also, equally see the jubilant crowd in Osun State as I can boldly say that whom they actually wanted, won the election in Osun. Zamfara government suspends Emir for turbaning bandit in sacking Fulani. Plateau bandits rustle over 1,000 cows in Wase. Rivers United crowned 2022 MPFL champions. Katsina United Heartland relegated. And on the next paper of this day, the last but not the least, this morning, Buhari, Osun people have expressed their will through ballot. It must matter, be respected. Congratulates PDP Adeleke on electoral victory, reiterate commitment to credible electoral system. Atiku, Ayu, Saraki, Diri, Obaseki, Obi, others salute winner. And all set for Zenith Bank 7th Annual International Trade Seminar on non-oil export. We also see another story there, Kiari, FG to continue to determine petrol prices despite NNPC's transition to commercial entity. All right, as we wrap up the show, let's use this statement by the president to wrap up the show. That Buhari, Osun people have expressed their will through ballot. It must matter and be respected. Uzo, finally, as we wrap up.
Yes, and I will hold him to that word come 2023 when the general populace of Nigeria will, express their will about who they want to take Nigeria to the next level.
All right. That's the much time could allow us take on the press review today. Would like to appreciate you so much for being a part of this show. On behalf of all of us in the studio, I say thank you so much. Thank you, Abuchi, for coming. Thank you, Uzo, for being a part of it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we have more coming up on Good Morning Anambra Show. Do stay.